Hello friends, I am Dr. Sonal Chandak, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, Srimati Kesharbai Lahuti Mahavidyalaya, Amravati, Maharashtra. In this video, we are going to discuss on the accounting concepts which govern about the rules in preparation of the accountancy. Friends, let us know first of all the meaning of accounting concepts. Accounting concepts are the rules of accounting which has to be followed in preparation of accounts and financial statements. Accounting is the language of business, as we know. The business firms communicate their affairs and financial position to the outsiders through the medium of accounts. We are presenting our financial statements to outsiders, but the language has to be the common one so that there is a perfect message which has been transferred to the outsiders in the very same meaning as we want. Let me elaborate a little more about this. Friends, there has to be an effective communication of the message. I mean, the language used in the communication should convey the same meaning to all the interested parties. So, the common rules are needed. The accountants have to agree on number of concepts which they try to follow. The messages so communicated should be easily understood by the people for whom it is intended. The accounting concepts can be described as something which signifies a general notion regarding the accounting principles. That we should be in a position to create a common understanding, a common belief so far as the passage of message is concerned. The assumptions so made are so natural and are not forced ones. Remember, a concept is a self-evident proposition. Proposition here I mean something which is taken for granted. There is no authoritative list of any such concepts. But of course, we are going to learn few of them in this particular presentation. Let us speak of the first concept, that is business entity concept. The business is treated as separate from the proprietor. This concept is important and implies that a business is separate and distinct from the persons who supply capital to the firm or the business. All the transactions of the business are recorded in the books of firm. If business affairs and private affairs are mixed, the true picture of the business will never be available. The proprietor is always treated as the creditor to the extent of his capital. Capital is thus a liability to the firm. As we know, we are recording capital on the liability side so far as the balance sheet is concerned or the financial statement is concerned. And therefore, capital is treated to be the liability and the proprietor is treated to be the creditor of the business. The proprietor, the sole trader, the partner of the firm may draw the amount out of the business, and to that extent, the liability of the firm reduces. As you know, friends, when the proprietor or the sole trader makes the drawings or the partner makes the drawings, we are deducting this amount from the capital. It means we are reducing liability of capital by that amount. Because of this concept, the financial position of the business can be easily found out and the earning capacity of the firm can be easily ascertained. It is important to note that transactions of the business affairs and private affairs are separated for recording only, and in law, no such distinction is recognized except for an incorporated company. Because for the sole trader, the liability is unlimited. For the partnership firms, the liability is joint and several, but still we keep the accounts and the financial statements separate as per this concept because we want to know the exact financial position of our business a separate and the financial position of the individual as an owner a separate. The second important concept which we are going to discuss in this presentation is money measurement concept. Only those business transactions which can be expressed in terms of money or monetary value are recorded in the accounting. All the business transactions which can be expressed only and only in terms of money are written, are considered while writing the accounts. Those which cannot be expressed in terms of money will not find its place in the accounting books. Now friends, as we know, there are certain transactions or there are certain issues which have a greater impact so far as the growth of the business is concerned. For example, labor management relations. If they are cordial, if they are good, definitely they lead to the growth of the business, carry profitability to the business. But they don't find the words in the accounting records. For example, sales policy, labor unrest, effectiveness of competition. These are the vital importance to the business concern, but do not find place in accounting. Another limitation of this particular concept is that it makes the assumption that money value is constant. It's highly contradictory, friends, because there is always a fluctuation in the value of money. For example, a land which has been purchased in rupees 1 lakh in 2000 may have 5, 6 or even 10 or 20 times more value in 2020. And this is all because of the fall in the value of money. And therefore, if we are considering the same value for years together, that is going to have the impact on the actual calculation of the profit or profiteering. Now we are going to discuss one of the important concepts which governs the double entry system of bookkeeping or the principle of duality, that is dual aspect concept, which speaks about for every credit there is a corresponding debit. The recording of a transaction is complete only and only with this dual aspect. It tells us that every transaction has twofold aspect. One, the yielding of benefit, and two, the giving of the benefit. I mean getting of the benefit and giving of the benefit. For an exchange of value, two parties are required. One has to be the receiver and one has to be the giver. Thus a firm, if it is selling the goods worth rupees 1000, there are two simultaneous implications the seller may face, that is the foregoing goods worth rupees 1000 and receipt of cash worth rupees 1000. Simultaneously, the purchaser also faces two important facts, that is receipt of the goods worth rupees 1000 and foregoing of the cash of rupees 1000. Every transaction affects two accounts and entails two-fold simultaneous effects on each party. Thus, a giver necessarily implies the receiver necessarily implies the giver. And each transaction affects receiving amount and giving amount to be the same. Technically speaking, for every debit, there has to be a credit, consecutive credit. Therefore, we can say that for every debit, there must be a corresponding credit and vice versa. This is the only system of modern account keeping. This is what is the pillar of accounting, main pillar of accounting. The underlying principle of double entry system is very simple and wonderfully effective. The double entry bookkeeping is a system of accounting by which receiving and giving aspects of each transaction are recorded at a time. As such transactions affect giving account and receiving account simultaneously and equally with the same amount, the assets of the business entity will always be equal to the same amount. Here we can make few equations. The first equation which I am making here in this presentation is total assets is equal to total liabilities. The second equation I am making here is total assets is equal to capital plus outsiders liabilities, because here I am bifurcating the liabilities. There are two important points in the liability side, that is capital and the outsiders liabilities. So total assets is equal to total liabilities. Total assets is equal to capital plus outsiders liabilities, and capital is equal to total assets minus outsiders liabilities. So we can calculate capital by deducting the total outsiders liabilities from the total assets. Now, friends, every business is expected to continue for a fairly long time and carry out its commitments and obligations. This assumes that the business will not be forced to stop functioning and liquidate its assets at a fire sale prices. It means every business has an opportunity and always want that it should be in a position to fly high in the sky. It should be in a position to grow, and it should be in a position to continue for a very long time. Here, I am speaking about going concern concept or ongoing concern concept. This concept relates with the long life of the business. The business is intended to continue for an indefinitely long period. For all practical purposes, a business firm comes under going concern concept when there is no evidence to the contrary. Because many a times some of the firms or some business comes into picture only for a particular purpose. Once the purpose is over, the business comes to an end. We are not speaking about such businesses. We are not going to speak about those types of businesses, and we are going to speak here about those businesses which want to continue themselves. All firms that continue to operate on a profitable footing are treated as going concern firms. Accordingly, continuity of activity is assumed. Thus, accounting reports are fashioned as a going concern, just as against the liquidation. The current disposal value is irrelevant for a continuous business. Thus, under this assumption, fixed assets are recorded at their original cost and are depreciated in a proper manner following a particular rule. In balance sheet, market price of the fixed asset are not considered. In balance sheet, market price of the fixed assets are not considered. While preparing final accounts, the record is made in such a fashion that outstanding expenses, prepaid expenses, outstanding incomes, pre-received incomes or incomes received in advance, with the assumption that the business is going to continue, the business is going to stay for a long period, lifelong. This is what is the going concern concept.